All right, guys, welcome to video number 3. So in this video, we're going to be going over some key foundational concepts you must know. This is something I say to my clients. If I'm going to be able to help you guys get rid of your body dysmorphia and become this better version of yourself, I just need you to know certain things, and I need you to be at a level of thinking and problem solving that's going to allow us to make what we need to do effective, right? That's the easiest way I can put it. So in this video, we're going over some very, very simple concepts, right? That you'll understand like that. And that's something I find a lot is a lot of this stuff you probably understand. It makes sense. You get on a surface level. It's then about, okay, how can I implement this, and how does this show up in my life, and how can I kind of put my sort of spin on it, right? That's usually the easiest way I can put it. So the first concept is a very, very simple one. It's called love versus fear. Now, whenever we go to do something, we make a decision, we have a thought, we do an action, whatever it might be, it goes down one of two paths. It either goes down the path of love or the path of fear. Now, I want you to think about this in the context of two different wolves. Okay, you've got a love wolf and a fear wolf, right? Now, whichever one of those wolves you feed, right, like literally feed, will become stronger and more dominant and live for longer. And whichever one you don't feed and you neglect and you just dismiss and suppress and push away and don't pay attention to will slowly wither away and probably die. Okay? It's the same with love versus fear. So if you're continuously feeding your fear, feeding your doubt through your language, through your beliefs, through the people you surround yourself with, the people you follow on social media, the rabbit holes of, again, thinking that you get yourself down when you're at the gym or at home, whatever it might be. If you continue to feed into that and continue to feed into the fear, you are feeding that fear wolf. So that is only going to get stronger, right? Where you place your energy and your attention, that will grow. That will just run your life, right? So at the moment, for I dare say the majority of you, and it was certainly me at the height of my body dysmorphia, and I have moments now still where I feed my fear wolf more, right? Chances are you're feeding that fear wolf a lot more than your wolf of love, right? Where vice versa, if you're to start to feed that love wolf more, and every time you go to have a thought, you can reframe it, or you go to speak, and instead of seeing yourself in the mirror and being like, oh God, I look so gross, instead of feeding that fear wolf, you can be like, oh, you're actually looking good, or find something you like about yourself, or state 3 gratitudes, or something like that, to start to move your automatic thoughts and language and whatever else from this path of fear to this path of love. And I know that sounds ridiculously simplistic, right? But body dysmorphia is a byproduct of just a lot of fear, basically, right? It's a label that we create. It's a version of ourselves we create, an identity we create that is deeply rooted in fear and doubt and the negative side of life. All right. So for us to overcome it, we need to counter that with love for ourselves, for our body, gratitude, and just start to, be a little bit more conscious when we go to do these things, right? And just as foreign as it'll feel at the start, because you're so used to going down that, you're so used to feeding that fear wolf, right? You'd be able to think of a million examples right now. You probably struggle to think of some examples where you fed the love wolf, right? And that's just the harsh reality of this. And it's like, oh yeah, like, is it any wonder I don't really love myself? I don't like what I see. I don't like who I am. I don't believe that I'm capable of certain things. It's because everything's out of fear. So of course that's what I think. All right. So that's the first concept I want you to really wrap your head around. The second one is called optimize versus fix. So that's the other thing, guys. I really should have mentioned this a lot earlier, but don't share this with anyone, right? Don't, all of these systems are mine unless I've mentioned that they're not mine, or I've got them from somewhere else, which I will. Like love versus fears, again, I don't know whose it is, right? I learned it from my mentor. A lot of this stuff I've learned from my mentor and sort of adapted it, Tom Clark. But a lot of these systems are mine. So just all I ask is that you don't go and claim them as your own, right? You can share them, but just make sure you tag me and give credit where credit's due. This is one I've created called Optimize versus Fix. So what happens is most people get stuck in the fix cycle, right? The broken cycle. Their problem is they are broken, right? I am broken. How, like, you might say that about yourself, but how often do we hear this? I am broken. right? So someone who's broken needs fixing, right? It's like a piece of glass. If a piece of glass is broken, it needs to be fixed. It needs to be perfect for me to deem that a success. I wouldn't break glass or break a phone and then like kind of half fix it and be okay with that, right? If I break glass, I want it to be back exactly how it is. It needs to be perfect. Now, whilst that's fine with objects, it's not fine with humans, okay? Because if you think you're broken, and this might resonate with you, you've thought you're broken in the past, you try to fix yourself by doing work or changing your body, whatever, you're seeking perfection. You're like, if I'm going to do this, I have to do every training session. I have to hit my calories to the T. I can't miss any meals. I can't go off track at all, because if I do, I have failed, right? And remember, we're trying to change you. We're having to undergo some kind of ego death here to make these changes, okay? So any chance our ego gets to be like, oh, yep, see, this is actually who we are. You weren't successful, like we failed, it's going to jump at. So if you miss one little thing, right? If you have a meal out, you can't track it, or you might get drunk and then you have the gyros on the side of the road and you've blown your calories out, right? In your mind, you've not been able to attain perfection, so you've failed. So now you're back to being broken, you're back at square one, right? And then you might not talk to your coach, or throw in the towel, or make it worse, or tell yourself you'll start on Monday and just waste the rest of the week because you failed, because you haven't been able to be perfect, right? Guys, that mindset's not going to fucking cut it, right? As I said, you're a human, not a piece of glass. If you fall off track, it is okay. It happens. If it happens repeatedly, cool. We need to work out what's going on. We need to work out what kind of self-sabotage strategy you're running and why you're running it, right? Because there'll be a reason. There'll be a reason you're always falling off track. You just might not be able to see it. But again, we got to be so careful of our language. You're not broken. You are just not broken. You don't need fixing. You're a human that can be doing better, but you're not broken, okay? That's where we jump over here, right? The problem is, we just need optimizing. Like when I was at the peak of my body dysmorphia, I thought I was broken too. But in reality, I just needed optimizing. My body needed to be better. The way I spoke to myself needed to be better. My beliefs needed to be better. Probably the people I surrounded myself with needed to be better. I needed to optimize my life and myself. Cool? So instead of being fixed, I'm seeking to optimize. I'm just seeking to get that little bit better, right? And even across these 5 videos, right? We're not trying to get you from broken to fixed. We're just trying to optimize things, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just your level of thinking or your level of awareness or how you start to see yourself, right? It just needs optimizing, okay? And our outcome, right, from video 1 to video 5 is cool. Am I more optimal? Am I in a better spot than I was when I first watched video 1? Hopefully, yes. If not, I'm sorry, maybe this wasn't for you, but hopefully you're feeling a little bit more optimal, right? And then we just go back to here, right? Cool, what's next? What needs optimizing now? There's no failure. You can't fail this, guys. You can't fail self-development, okay? You can't fail your body journey unless you language yourself that you have failed, right? Because the word failure does more damage than you falling off track, or you missing a meal, or you having a day where you're down in the dumps. All right, guys, I have days where I'm down in the dumps. I have days where I don't want to get out of bed. I have days where I'm just feeling sad and anxious for whatever reason, right? But the difference is, and this is a skill that you sort of develop, like when I'm in those moments, I allow it for a little while. I do what I know I need to do to feel better. I might go train, I meditate, I might journal, or I might just watch TV if that's what I feel like doing, right? But I don't let myself sit there for ages. And I certainly don't tell myself I've failed, because that's just like stacks on. It's like, let's just make this even worse than it needs to be. It's like, nah, cool, I've had a moment, it happens, we need this to happen, which is the next thing I'm about to go into. It's okay. You guys would be so much further along, or you'd be able to recognize so much more progress in yourself if you stopped telling yourself you fucking fail every 5 seconds, right? Understand that you saying you failed is a strategy of your ego to keep you exactly where you are. It's to keep you as this body dysmorphia riddled person, right? Because it's like, it's ego is black and white, right? It's like, I'm trying to overcome my body dysmorphia. I need to do this. I need to stick to my calories, for example, to change my body, lose weight. Cool. I missed a day. I couldn't do that. Oh, right. I fucked up, right? I failed. Yep. Cool. We've still got body dysmorphia. All right. Understand, like this, again, so simple, guys, but like this, these two always really resonate with clients, and they always tell me, I just thought I was broken, right? Again, so much is how we speak to ourselves, right? Our words are spells, right? So what spells are you casting on yourself? That might sound real weird, but like at the end of the day, that's what they are. Right? And then we wonder why our world is like it is. It's because that's literally what we're telling ourselves and what we're asking for. Okay, so moving on to tightrope versus train track. So very, very similar concept. I want you to literally imagine someone walking across a tightrope and someone literally walking down the line, down a train track. Right? Our tightrope is very similar to our broken fixed cycle. Our train track is our optimized cycle. So a tightrope, you're at the mercy of one misstep. Right? If I think I'm walking on a tightrope and I'm trying to be perfect, I can't afford one wrong step. Okay? Because then that is a failure because I've fallen off and I have to start again. Everything must be perfect. I cannot put a foot wrong. Right? I'm either get to the end or I don't. Right? It has to be perfect. Again, very dangerous using the word perfect when it comes to this kind of work. If you fall off, you language failure. Right? Again, we've just gone into that ad nauseum. We language failure after a setback because it is so black and white. The distraction from our external world is magnified. So imagine yourself walking on a tightrope. You're at the mercy of the wind, of an itchy foot, of the glare from the sun, of a muscle cramp, of a slight wrong foot placement due to a bird flying past. Like there are so many things that can push you off track. And it's the same if you're on a body journey and you're trying to be perfect and every little thing is magnified. Like your partner asking to have Uber Eats, or your mates wanting to go out for a drink, right? Or the gym being busy, or you're being stressed, or you're having to stay late at work, right? All these little things can potentially impact your ability to stay consistent and compliant. And then if it does impact that and you fail, right? Now, again, we know what happens. Okay. And there's a constant fear of falling off track because you're so like fixed, like I have to get across, I have to get across, I have to get across, right? I have to be perfect, I have to be perfect, I have to be perfect, right? You're just like, you're putting so much pressure on yourself to be perfect, which is just unattainable and unreasonable, to be honest, right? Maybe on a tightrope it's okay, but not in what you're trying to achieve. So again, like you start to see how you're just setting yourself up for failure, and you're setting yourself up for failure because that's what you've done in the past. That's what you're used to. That's what you think you deserve, right? That's just where your mind is at, and that is okay. That's why you're here, right? Whereas I want you to start to implement the optimize and the train track methodology, the train track mindset, which is a misstep is essentially irrelevant, right? Who cares if you fall off a train track? It's like this far to the bottom. You're going to be fine. Right? It's like if I'm, miss a meal or miss a training session, like, oh, yep, cool, falling off the train track, that's fine, get back on tomorrow, do what I need to do. It's essentially irrelevant if you choose to believe it's irrelevant. There's room for error and learning. Cool, I've fallen off to the right. What do I need to do to adjust? Cool, I didn't plan my day well enough, so I didn't have time to meal prep, and this, sweet, I'll do this better next time. Right? No harm done. I learned from my lessons and I keep going. It's easy to get back on track, right? You literally just jump back on. The distraction from the external world's a non-factor or very limited, right? You can have all sorts going on and you'd be able to continue to balance on the train track, right? You can have all sorts going on in your life, right? But you can still get your sessions in, eat to the best of your abilities. Maybe you miss a day, maybe you don't. It doesn't really matter. You're doing your best, right? You can cope with these other things because you're not trying to achieve perfection. So you can have a few missteps, and you will have a few missteps, right? And there's more time to have more focus on the destination, what's ahead, because you're able to actually stop and look up where you're going and enjoy the journey instead of being so hyper-focused on every single little step you take. Right? Again, your ego's just like waiting for you to fail so it can start the language and be like, see, I told you we couldn't do this. And then you go back to square one, you feel sorry for yourself, you emotionally eat, you go out and get pissed, whatever you need to do to distract yourself. Right? And you continue to stay in this body that you don't like, with body dysmorphia, doubting yourself, and just not living life to its fullest. All right, guys, so that's tightrope versus train track. And the final one, which is, super important, is embrace the storm. Now, what I mean by this is there's going to be, and I say this to every client I work with, we can set out the most perfect plan in the world, right? But there is going to be stuff that happens. There's going to be stuff that comes up in our time together that we cannot foresee, right? And it's better to understand that from the start, because if we're to just be delusional and be like, yeah, this is going to be perfect, and then something happens and we're not perfect, again, we have the same problem of what I've just been describing. Things are going to pop up on your journey, guys. Shit is going to happen. Things are going to happen with the family, your relationships, like things in the world, like COVID, like there's just so many things that can happen in whatever journey you're on. So it's like, understand they're going to come, and it's actually not that big of a deal. And the thing is, and I say this to my clients, I'm like, I want this to happen. I want shit to hit the fan, because we're going to be able to see who you really are. You're going to be able to learn and have my guidance to get through these shitstorms together. So when it happens, when it inevitably happens again, you're going to be better prepared instead of blindsided. We're not living in this fantasy of, yeah, everything has to be perfect and like, just follow what I tell you to do and you'll be fine. It's like, fuck off. Like, things are going to happen. Can you deal with them? Right? Or do you want to suppress them and push them away and get all sad when, you know, something happens and then just go back to square one and not make any progress? Right? Embrace the storm. It's okay. Life happens sometimes. And we need this, right? Based on the law of polarity. You might have heard of this, you might not have. But the law of polarity states that there is an opposite to everything in our world, right? It is necessary for balance within our universe. Everything has a duality and a built-in opposite that cannot exist without the other, right? If one side of anything has the potential to exist, by the law of polarity, the opposite expression has to exist also. A coin has two sides that appear separate, but they're two sides of the same object and are inseparable. Now, the easiest way I can put this is we don't know dark without light. We don't know on without off. We don't know up without down. We don't know good without bad, right? If you don't go through the struggles, if you don't go through the hard times, you don't understand the good times. Okay? If I think back to, when body dysmorphia like had me in a fucking chokehold, like I can just appreciate how I am now based on those storms that I dealt with, right? It's so important to understand that whilst, sometimes things might be falling apart, the mere fact that it is falling apart means that the opposite has to exist, okay? If I'm having, like I mentioned before, if I'm just having a real down day, I'm anxious, I'm thinking about something or whatever it might be, I'm just in my head, the fact that I'm feeling that must mean the opposite has to exist by the nature of our universe and polarity, right? So if I'm seeing myself in the mirror and I'm just hating what I see and I'm real negative and I'm nitpicking on my body, there has to be a reality in which I love my body and I think I look amazing and I'm proud and I'm crying tears of fucking joy because of how good I look. That literally has to exist for the other side to exist, right? It's like tails has to exist for heads to exist on a coin. Right? You can't just have heads because you'd have nothing to compare it to. We can't just have light in our world with never any darkness because we wouldn't have anything to compare light to. So like, what would light be? So whenever you're going through these storms, they are necessary and like, we just must welcome them and understand they're gonna pass, right? Life will happen. Shit will come up that we can't predict. You'll have days where you want to quit. You'll feel like you aren't progressing. Good. Embrace the fuck out of those moments and understand we require these moments to progress. Right? Have a laugh about it. Like it's okay. You're gonna be okay. It's okay you've missed 3 days of your calories and you're feeling bloated. It's okay. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna get back on track. It's okay you're in your head and your body dysmorphia is just absolutely kicking your ass at the moment and you feel like nothing will ever change. It's like, it will. You will be fine because the fact you're feeling that means you're capable of feeling the other. Otherwise, this wouldn't exist in the first place, right? I'll tell you straight, guys, and you'll understand this the more you work with me, the more you progress in the academy. Like, I'm not someone that's going to just fill you up with false hope and false promises. You're going to have, and I say this to my clients, I literally say, guys, like I show them this slide, you're going to have shit that comes up. And I also say, there's going to be times in this journey where you think I'm full of shit. You think I'm not giving you enough. You don't trust me. You fucking hate me. You don't want to reply to my messages because you're in the middle of your own shit, right? And you project that out onto me. Like I literally say that and I'm like, cool, that's fine. That's good. That means we're actually getting somewhere. We're not pussyfooting around and pretending everything is okay, right? You're allowed to have your down moments. You're allowed to have your days where you just feel like you want to stay in bed all day. Like it's okay. But it's like, okay, what are you doing to get out of that when enough's enough, right? And at the time of this recording, like, there's been some stuff going on in my life at the moment that's been really challenging. And I've had days, like even this morning, to be honest with you guys, I was just feeling real down in the dumps. It was nothing even major. Like, I'm recording this on New Year's Eve. 2023, and I went down to my normal cafe and they weren't open, right? And I just like sat in the car and I just started thinking there's just like, other stuff going on in my life. And I started thinking about that way too much. And I was sitting there feeling real fucking sorry for myself. And then it's just like, okay, like, come on, just start the car, drive, and just go find another cafe, right? So I did. Right? So it's okay. It happens. It's a moment in time that will pass. The trouble is we demonize ourselves having these. We think we need to be perfect, and if something comes up or something in life happens, we automatically think it must derail us, but that's not how it needs to be. Just keep on going, keep pushing forward. Remember this, remember polarity. If I'm experiencing this and everything feels like it's crashing down around me, cool. That means the opposite has to exist, and I will find that other reality soon. But I need to do the work in order to find that. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep bringing into my reality this negativity that I'm currently experiencing. All right, guys. So one of the biggest keys to overcoming body dysmorphia, not a straight line. Not as simple as you might have been told. Not as simple as just being motivated all the time. There's going to be days where it just feels like it's getting worse. It's going to be days where you just want to throw in the towel. But it's like, again, choose. If you've heard this before, like, choose your hard. Do you want to stay where you are and just give up? Or do you just want to progress? Even if it's, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Like, just keep fucking going. Embrace the storm. Laugh in it. Make a joke of it. Like, it's not that serious. It's okay. All right, guys. So hopefully these have helped. Again, as I said, understanding that storms will happen, understanding you're on a train track, not a tightrope, understanding you need to optimize, not that you're fucking broken, and choosing out of love. They're just there's core foundational concepts that you need to have if you're going to, and when you're going to overcome your body dysmorphia to become a better version of yourself. All right, so start bringing these into your everyday life, start practicing these, start thinking about these. And again, all of this is intended to start to shift how you think, how you view yourself, and how you show up each day. And again, this will snowball into everything else we're about to do. All right, guys, hope you've enjoyed this. Any questions, let me know, and we'll see you in video 4.